Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to this morning's meeting of the Valuation Joint Board. It's just gone 9:30, so we'll make a start. If anybody is late, then they can just join when they log in. Brian, we've got apologies this morning.
I've got a number of apologies from Jerry McGarvey, Brian Deacon and Jim Robertson.
Okay, thanks for that, Brian. At this point, is there any declarations of interest from members? Elaine?
It's just I wanted to say, give apologies for Paul Henk. I'm not sure if anybody knows, but Paul recently had a stroke, but he is on the road to recovery and he hopes to be back soon. Okay, thanks for that, Elaine. And if you can maybe pass on our best wishes to him. I will do. Okay, thanks for that. It takes us on to item 3, the minute of the meeting held on the 28th of June. Can we agree the accuracy of the meeting? I think we've got an agreement on that. Thanks for that. Item 4 is the revenue budget 24-25 review as at the 31st of August this year. Lindsay, are you taking this one?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. This report provides the board with a forecasted financial position for the year to the 31st of March 2025 as at June 24. At Q1, the report shows a forecast underspend of £204,000 for the financial year. The detailed underspends are presented within Table A of the report, which shows that the majority of the underspend relates to employee costs, with a forecasted underspend of £193,000. This continues the trend which has been seen in previous years, with variance mainly due to the challenges in recruiting to vacancies. Within supplies and services, there is forecasted underspend of £11,000. This includes an underspend of £10,000, which is due to the revised provision that we have made in the year-end accounts for the dilapidations of Glendevon House. During the audit of the 23-24 accounts, the provision was increased for 23-24 to reflect the full cost of the dilapidations, and this reduces the amount required for 24-25. Section 4 of the report sets out the reserves position, which has been adjusted for the above dilapidations, and it increases the provision. So total reserves are £241,000, of which £79,000 are committed and £162,000 uncommitted. This uncommitted balance equates to 5.1% of net expenditure, which is between the approved 3 and 6% set by the board. So I'm happy to take any questions on the report. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay, and thanks for your report. I'll open it up to members for any comments or questions. Don't see any hands up. Donald, be okay?
Just very quickly, it's not really on the finance, but maybe Mark could address this. The 3 maternity posts, the staff vacancy, was that in a particular area that would cause difficulties in terms of us delivering our functions, or was it across the board?
No, you're right to point it out. They're actually all in the valuation side. So we have been successful in getting a temporary appointment. We've taken on a temporary technician for a year to cover the maternity. So that we've managed to cover one of those. But the other 2 that are trainee valuers, and they're ongoing, and we're just about to advertise to see if we can get a similar temporary replacement. So we're hoping it's not going to impact too much and that we might be successful. So fingers crossed we get a temporary replacement. But to be honest, in the past we haven't been that successful just because of the market the way it is. It's difficult to get permanent employees, never mind temporary, but we can only try.
You can maybe keep us up to date with that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mark, I take it that that's going to affect the underspend then? Is that going to reduce slightly?
It will reduce slightly, yes, because we have been successful for one of the posts.
Okay. I don't see any hands up on the screen from members. Are we happy with the report as is? Yep, it's agreed. Thank you. That takes us on to item. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay. That takes us on to item 5, electoral registration update. Mark.
Thank you. Members may recall I updated you on the progress of the UK parliamentary election at our last meeting on the 28th of June. Today's report contains a short summary of how the election went from a registration point of view. Firstly, ever turning to the annual canvass at point 2, it was of course delayed this year due to the UK election. We started preparation immediately after the general election and the canvass started officially in August. The usual matching process using routes 1, 2 and 3 took place, and we will continue working on the canvass until the publication of the new register, which will be slightly delayed until the 1st of February next year. Moving on to the summary of the UK parliamentary election at point 3. The election presented itself with many challenges, and we were experienced enough to have in place the necessary planning and preparation in the event the government called a snap election, which meant a shortened election timetable. This election was also the first where the changes introduced by the 2022 Election Act were first implemented in Scotland and across the UK wide at a general election. The report highlights the huge increase in our workload experienced by our staff, from registration applications to emails and phone calls. In terms of local by-elections, we had the Stirling Ward 3 by-election on the 15th of August. We have another 2 by-elections scheduled for the 17th of October in Falkirk Ward 7. And subsequent to this report being produced, a by-election has been declared in Stirling Ward 6, and that will be on the 5th of December. These forthcoming by-elections are as a result of local councillors being elected as UK Members of Parliament. Our electoral team will therefore remain busy in the next few months, and our other continuing work is outlined at point 4. And finally, I would invite members to consider and comment on this report, and I am happy to take any questions you may have.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks for the report. I'll open it up to members for any questions or comments. Sarah?
Yeah, just a bit of clarification at 3.4, where it says we've got, for example, register to vote, it's got the deadline date and the numbers from the announcement to the deadline and from deadline to polling day. Does that mean that 855 are too late applying to register to vote?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It's relatively small numbers for sort of the other parts, but it's always a bit concerning, isn't it? But I think we try our best to advertise and make sure people are aware, but I guess there's always going to be people slip through the net, unfortunately.
Well, exactly. And I mean, you are right in that the advertisement we think worked, because if you look at the actual number that applied from announcement to deadline, it's over 13,000. That's a massive amount to get through. So I think the publication worked, just when you look at the numbers. And unfortunately, a few did, miss the deadline.
You okay with that, Sarah?
Register already without this sort of last minute panic, isn't it? So
yeah,
that's something you're just trying to continue to work on.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're just wondering clarification. That's what I suspected.
Thanks, Sarah. Robert, you've got your hand up there.
Yeah, do we have any figures on the amount of people who weren't allowed to vote because of ID problems?
Don't have local numbers, and those that would need to go to the return officer, the various areas, because it's them that deal with the voter ID in the polling stations.
Right, can we maybe try and generate something just so we've got that?
I can certainly ask the question, yeah.
We'll get that out to you, Robert.
I think there was a lot of problems. I know when I went in, I showed them my council ID card and they said it's not valid to vote.
Right. Yes.
We'll get the information for you, Robert. We'll get it passed out once we've received it. I don't see any other hands up at the moment. John, do you get them?
Not a question, Alan, but through the convener, I was going to suggest that we commend, in the minute we commend staff for their hard work in that particular at that time. It must have been very such stressful to get through that, but also to note with concern that, you know, effectively 800 odd voters were excluded from the democratic right, and I think that is a concern and really is a direct result of the snap election being called in the way it was. So I think we should record that in the minute, if that's possible.
Well, I'm happy for that to be recorded. I'm sure Brian will take a note of that, and it's maybe something for the future to try and iron things out maybe as best we can.
So, okay, we'll come back in there.
Sure.
Just what you might find, and it's no way to know the numbers, quite a lot of the 855, they're probably movers moving from one address to another, and we don't take people off until they're registered fully at another address when they use online system. Therefore, majority of them would probably still be able to vote at the previous address if it was not too far away. Yeah, it might not be the constituency that they've actually moved into just before the election, but they would probably still be able to make some use of a vote.
Really handy. Having said that, we are recording that number, which I think is concerning in terms of the democratic process. But equally, there wasn't a strong, from what I recall, wasn't a strong outcry. There wasn't some pitchforks at our doors sort of saying they didn't get a chance to vote. But I think it is still quite, I know percentage-wise, no, I still think we should our concerns if the rest of the committee agree, but our thanks to the staff, but also our concerns. The late notice has caused these sort of issues.
No, totally agree with you there, Donald. I think the staff deserve the thanks for all the hard work that they put in. Question for myself, Mark. Putting the by-elections, the council by-elections to one side, when do we start ramping up for the Scottish Parliament elections in 26?
When do we start ramping up? I think probably next year is when we start really thinking about it for 2026. It'll be May 2026. So the canvass next year will be the main focus for the election in 2026.
And does that start around about April or?
Well, the canvass will start next summer.
Yeah, we'll start planning for the canvass in sort of May, June time for it to start on the 1st of July.
Right.
Okay. And we'll try and do continuous publishing engagement with all sorts of areas throughout the year as a constant basis to make sure people are aware and registered and all that going on constantly.
That's fine. David, you've got your hand up there?
Yeah, thanks, Alan. Just one wee thing that I discovered was happening. There was some people looking for the voter authority certificates, and because they either didn't have a photograph or in some cases there were some older people didn't want to have photographs. They don't like having photographs of them taken. They couldn't get a certificate, so they had to go down the route of getting a postal vote. So I just wanted to kind of raise that. It was one of the issues I discovered.
Okay, thanks, David. You guys want to comment on that at all?
Didn't find too many people contacting office saying that to us here specifically. Yeah, we did have one or two people say it was difficult for them to apply or use online, and then they also didn't want to travel. So, I mean, one of the lessons we can take is making sure there's as many places available to get a certificate in advance. But it was interesting to know nationally the number of people that actually applied for a certificate and then used it was extremely low. So a lot of people were looking for it but didn't actually need it or didn't use it in the end. Either voted in some other way or didn't vote. So it's not been the issue I think we thought it might have been. But you're absolutely right. There was probably one or two cases where it was difficult for individuals.
Yeah, I mean it's people that maybe don't have a driving license, or as I say, older people maybe don't have a driving license or a passport or anything like that. I know I tried with my mum, for example, and trying to navigate that online was just no danger. So she was one of the ones who had to get a postal vote. So just wanted to raise that. Thanks.
Thanks, David. Just on the back of David's question there, was there a marked increase in the postal votes because of that situation? Or would you necessarily know that?
We don't think we can know that. If that there was a marked increase in postal votes, but it was also the first week of the school holidays, the snap election always sort of generates high postal. So whether it was because of the voter ID or because these other factors, there's no way to tell.
Right.
They obviously don't give a reason.
Okay,
Why they're applying for it.
that's fine. I don't see any other hands up at this point. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Yep. Okay, thanks for that. Takes us on to item 6, the flexible working policy update report. Mark, it's you again.
Thank you. This report is seeking approval of the update to the flexible working policy, which has been necessary as a result of a couple of legislative changes. Those changes are highlighted at point 2, and I would ask the board to approve this updated flexible working policy.
Thanks, Mark. Any questions on this report? I think it's pretty standard stuff. We're all used to this at our local authorities. Any questions or comments? Don't see any hands up. Agree the report?
Yep. Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you. That takes us on to item 7, the special leave policy and procedures report. Again, Mark, it's over to you.
Again, thank you. This report is seeking approval of the special leave policy and procedures. As part of the rolling review of HR policies and procedures, the board's procedures around special leave have not been formally approved. This report seeks the board's approval of the policy and procedures which have been operating on an informal basis for a number of years. I ask that the board approves the special leave policy and procedures. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thanks again, Mark. I'll open it up for any comments or questions. I think it's pretty standard stuff and it's in line with our local authority policies as well. So any questions or comments? Don't see any hands up. Will you agree the report?
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
Thank you. That takes us on to our last item. That's the programme of meetings for 2025. Brian, you're leading this one.
Thanks, yeah. I don't propose to say too much. This is just the diet of programmes for next year. 4 dates proposed, and what also suggests or reminds the board that we agreed that meetings would be hybrid and based at this office here. So no proposed change to that. So just simply asking the board to agree the new dates, proposed dates for next year. And again, just note that other meetings might be called as necessary.
Thanks, Brian. Any comments on the dates? Is everybody okay with the dates at the moment?
Yep. Agreed.
That's fine. That's the end of our meeting this morning. Thanks very much for your attendance, folks, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.